Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a good day. It sounds like Sheets is not going to be able to make it. Just got a message from him. So it's going to be just me today running through it. And I'll just sort of talk through what I'm going to be doing on this slate. We're going to sort by value here and just sort of go through some of the exposures. Or actually, you know what? These are the exposures on the last run. I'm actually going to do a run with Sheets' projections and then a run with Goldie's projections and see what's different here. My guess is that I think they probably haven't been updated for the last time yet. So maybe they don't have the Gafford as high. That could be something different. But these are on Sheets projections, and we're going to rebuild lineups. Basically, what we're building for, as I'll show you guys here, is the $5 150 max. I did already put a bunch of minimum exposures on players. For example, I wanted at least of my core guys. I wanted at least 25% of each of the players that I was playing my core. Obviously, you can see I'm well aware that I'm going to end up with more Westbrook pretty much no matter what I do. And I'm totally fine with it. So I'm probably going to end up with 90+% of them. These are the players I tagged as core, but I think that you can go different routes today, and we can talk about it because there is a lot of value out there that you can spend up in certain spots and certain plays like Jokic without Jamal Murray. Let's just see if the ownership is still the same real quick. Jokic without Jamal Murray was one of the ones that stood out to me earlier. I think he should be getting a lot more than 10% ownership. I'll probably end up, I put 25 minimum on him. I want to get different than just the typical double center spend down builds. And another one that we talked about a little bit earlier today, for those of you guys who were with us, where did it go? Oops, let me clear that up. Zach Edey's another one that I'm not quite sure if people are a little too biased, or the systems are still not projecting him for. It feels like his median should be higher. And even at 24, that's a pretty high median for a guy getting as little ownership as he is. So I want to be well over the field on plays like that. I actually did make it a core play for me today. I'm willing to live with some variance with these young guys. And I think it's a really good spot to sorry about this. I got this cold that's running around. Yeah, you can see it's giving 100% Westbrook before you even run the Sims. Then let's run the Sims. And then we're going to run another one with Sheets. And then I'll get to the exposure that I'm at right now. I post every night for anybody who's a site member before lock. Obviously, we're still always waiting on news. And as TJ is mentioning here in the chat, what about Franz Wagner? I like Franz Wagner a lot tonight. I actually put him as a core play, so I have 25% of him. I like being a little bit over the field on that. And we ran the sim. Okay, so we're sorted here. And let's just see. Yeah, 98% Russell Westbrook. Pretty much most of the guys you'd expect. I did force them to Zach Edey, so that came up there as well. I guess I'm getting to 11% of Tobias Harris. I don't really know if I want to do that. I'd like to get more of Gafford, but again, we're looking at Cheats' projections, and they're not updated for the final time yet. So let me change the projection set. We'll do Goldie's run, which also I believe are going to be updated, and just see what it changes for us. Let's rebuild with that. Just to show you that you're going to get different answers and different options, even using the SaberSim builder if you're using some of our stuff. Do I have OG or Josh Hart? I have OG, but I really like Josh Hart too. So I will have exposure to both. I did tag OG. On FanDuel, I actually think it's an interesting question between those two. And I know Hart's a little more expensive over there. He's a little more expensive on DraftKings as well, but percentage-wise, a little bit less on FanDuel. So I'm fine with going to Hart on FanDuel and a little bit of an OG on FanDuel, but also more on DraftKings for me. I like what I'm seeing from OG. I love the matchup. It's a great matchup for steals and blocks, and you have a good pace game, and you get all the minutes you want if you're either of those guys. So playing a nick or two certainly doesn't seem like a bad idea to me. So we're going to do this. We're going to run the sim, and then we're going to see what we got based on Goldie's projections and just what's different. And then we will run using SaberSim's updated projections right now and see what we're getting. But I can tell you right now is that, my first runs that I built my lineups for today, I have Westbrook at 83%. I probably end up with over 90, as I mentioned. Then Peyton Watson, Najee. I have like almost 50% of Luka. Love Luka tonight. I really like the Luka Jokic lineups. The problem is I also like Edey and Kada, and I also like Gafford. So it's a little tricky how much of that we're going to get. I'm actually thinking about setting a rule for only having double centers tonight. And I'm not sure I'm going to do that yet, but that's where I'm at. So yeah, you're getting pretty similar results between the two. I read the sim already. Pretty similar results between those two. I think it's going to be a little different when we jump over. When we jump over to SaberSim's current projections, because they're updated, I believe. Yeah, they are. All right, so let's run the build here and see what we've got. All right. right. And then we'll talk about differentiators. I think that's the most important thing in NBA. Obviously, look, the most important thing is to stay up to date on everything and see where we're at. We obviously have news that's always possible to break and normal news tonight. I'm just grabbing my notes here. Give me 1 second here if there's anything new. Campaign is out. Shaden Sharp is out. No, nothing that I have that's new. Trae Young is in. DeAndre Hunter is out. Yeah, nothing that's overwhelmingly getting to me. What about the Silva? What is the projection we have on him? Why is he projected quite as low as he is? I think I should get some ownership of him. I'm gonna at least put a 5 in there. And I'm just gonna remind myself. But anyway, well, we went back through the original. Okay, so we are on the original projections, and let's run again, rebuild them, and then we will run the contest sim, et cetera, et cetera. Anybody with any questions or thoughts? Would Westbrook be the floor? Well, would Westbrook be on the floor in a blowout? Probably not at the very end, but it depends on blow. We use these terms a lot, and what does that mean? So, what does a blowout even mean? Because people act like 10 to 15 points is a blowout. It's not a blowout. Like, I think you're looking at 25 to 30 if you're thinking about real blowout time. Or if you're up by 20 some odd going into the fourth and your team just doesn't get back, they never went back within 15, those kind of situations. But it's not like they're going to preserve him, and I don't think they're going to overuse him. I think his projection minutes-wise is pretty accurate. Obviously, it's not like a great matchup, but if you wanted to take a get contrarian approach and maybe play less of Westbrook, go ahead. I'm just not going to be the one to tell you to do it. What's up to MJ? Good to see you, man. The Goga thing, I'm not really. I want to see where I'm at with that actually as we go. Why do we need Goga for value when we've got all this other value? I'm gonna see where he even rates value wise. I don't know where that. Am I missing something with the Goga? Wait, where am I? Oh, I'm on the wrong team. Let me just see what he's projected for. I actually didn't think. Why did I not have him initially? You know what? And they actually gave me 4% of them. Yeah, I think that's fine. I just don't know that it's what I want to do. I personally like Edie better, but that's just me. Maybe I'll bump it up to 5% instead of the 4% that I'm getting, but I don't think I really want to get a ton of it. I just think you got better overall options. But again, we've seen him perform in the past. It's a matchup where he can get there. So I'm certainly not opposed to it at all. All right, so this is where we're at before the Sims. Let's run the Sims. And of course, as I mentioned, you guys already did put in players that I wanted to get a certain, percentage of here. Cat's in a great spot, by the way, tonight. Atlanta gives it the most threes, especially the big men. So I think it's a really good spot for Cat. Excuse me, guys. I hate this. I can't get rid of this illness. Call it the parade, election, whatever. But this illness is not shaken. All right, there we are. So, again, it's pretty much what you'd expect at the top. Luka, they really like as well. I do also. As you can see, I got a lot of Jokic, which is going to be lower owned than I think it should be tonight. And it's partly because we have so many great center options like Towns. I really like Edie. I don't care. I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be willing to live and die by taking shots on these rookies. It worked great the other night with Edie. Let's see if we can do that again. So getting 5 times the field on him when playing 150 certainly feels good. Other ones, I'm a little lower than the field on Gafford currently. I think this might be a mistake. Again, and you see what I'm saying about the centers. I really want to either force it naturally or end up with somewhere in the 90% of my lineups, if not all of them, with a center build. All right, let's see this. Let's see if we change the menu uniques at all, if we can get anything completely different. I know I'm not going to go through all the numbers. I just want to get a little more exposure and see if I can get a few non-Westbrook builds and just what those look like. Let's just try to get real crazy with it. Let's go down to 5. All right, that gets crazy. So I don't want that little of Westbrook. All right, let's go back up to 4. And that looks a little more tolerable for what I want to get exposure-wise. It's got me spread out, but I do have some spots where I'm taking, at least some lower ownership out there. There's a couple of guys, though, I want to go through each, just to talk about some of the plays that I think you can use to get different, which I'm going to add some extra ownership on. I haven't finished my final stuff here yet. Let's see real quick. Where am I going? I'm looking for the projection. So, nope, not the ownership, the SS projection. Okay. So just looking at guys at the top who can get there. AD being questionable, who was likely to play, I think it's a terrific tournament play. I want to get more than the field of that. But again, centers just loaded. So I'm not going to get crazy with it. I like Wembanyama quite a bit also. Yeah, I've got him basically a little bit above the field, but basically with the field. I forgot about the Tatum narrative until a little later in the day after the show this morning. So I actually want to go overweight this play. It'll probably lessen my Luka a little bit. I also want to go back to my 1-min uniques because I'm changing the build a little bit. I might even just rebuild these. But I think that's another play that, again, not just getting over the field is where I want to be. Shea, I'm not getting to, but I'm not going to fault you, Trey. I'm not getting to. LeBron is fine because of the price. I'm not overwhelmingly excited that the amount that it's coming up. I don't mind having a little bit. I think Ja, I guess he plays great against the Lakers. Maybe his minutes are going to start trending up a little bit. They don't really need him to, but what if the game is close? Maybe we get some extra minutes. Let's get some of Ja when we're playing 150. Melo, I have a little higher than Trey, but I still not quite getting there. Then you get into the Brunson, who I think is in a good spot against Atlanta as well. I'm going to bump him up just to be a little bit above the field. I'm going to see where I'm at with Cade. And I think that that's one I just sort of feel like I'm good with, but I actually like Jaden Ivey a little bit better. So I kind of want exposure to both of them just because the matchup's good. But I think I would go more Ivy at a cheaper price tag. And you can see I came up with 17% anyway, so I'm just going to make sure I keep it at least 10% for right now. I'm just going through starting through the top scores. The Karl Anthony Towns, they really love for whatever it's worth. I like to play too, but Saberson's already given me 27% of it when I'm building. I'm just going to make sure it doesn't change too much. This Vucevic one is interesting because if we're not going to have word necessarily on Levine, at least we didn't as of the last time I checked. But if Levine is out, like that's a really strong play, and you're not going to get much ownership on it. Don't need to go crazy because even if Levine's in, it's not like there aren't outs. There just happen to be so many centers. So I'm going to end up spreading out my centers a little bit more, which is going to get me off of a little bit of the chalky stuff, and maybe I can win with some 4 and 5K centers instead of the chalky 3,200 center in Kada. Another one that we don't is that we have Zion out now officially. But we don't have, I don't believe my projections have updated for that. Are they updated for that? Really? There's nobody who's showing a little bit better. Cleveland plays faster this year than they have in years past. See, are we still getting a projection on him? Wait, why? He's out though, right? I actually thought Zion had been announced. Wow. Okay. I was wrong. Sorry, I guess that's another giant piece of news is which of these 3 guys are playing. So I like in general the idea of maybe trying to get overweight any plays we like in the later games because it'll allow us for that best late swap. Castle's fine for value as an answer. I'm not getting too much of it myself, but I think it's fine. So let's try and get overweight these guys. I'm already going to be overweight Luka. Let's go to 30 on Luka. I'm just going to go to 10 on Kyrie for right now, but I'd like to be a little bit over on these guys. And again, these little numbers may not make a difference, but I like the idea of getting exposure where other people are going to have to be swapping. So at least having some options in these later games and just overranking them maybe a little bit compared to what the field is doing with them, including guys like Desonmu, because if Levine is out, obviously Desonmu's in a great spot. Okay, that's one game. Let's go through the next. Good to see you, Rick. Anybody else questions? I'm looking at them. I said the Castle's fine. Melo's in. Thank you, Brendan. Najee must play. Not a must, but I'm going to be over the field on it, and it's going to be a high owned. So I'm getting I had 60% of them. Let me just see real quick before I go to the late games. What did I have? 70%? Yeah, 66%. That feels fine to me. Look, as long as he starts, okay? If he doesn't start or something happens, then all bets are off. But if he does in fact start, I'm going to play him. I'm not this hero projection thing. I thought it was going to be chalky earlier. Again, only because it's a later game. I want to be overweight these situations so I can adjust to things. So I'm playing players from these games that I would not normally be playing quite as much. I'm even going to get a little bit of BAM, which actually is not a bad play, by the way. Just that there's, again, so many centers. I think Saberton's probably going to yell at me and not give me exactly what I want because of all this stuff. But I can always late swap for these guys. There's plenty of players in similar price ranges in the later games. Really nothing showing up at all for Phoenix. This is one I may not be overweight, but I don't mind getting 2% of these guys. And Booker can always go off, actually getting maybe even a little bit more, maybe just a decent idea. And we'll see where I end up here because I'm going to be heavy on a few of these guys. I do want to spread out some of my my late night exposure. I'll take a shot with enough of Shea. I didn't get to him much in my initial thoughts, but again, getting just a tiny bit because I want to be able to have that late game swap ability with a lot of these guys. And again, another rule I was considering is or trying to figure out is to try to get like one player from some of these later games. Just became too hard. So I just want to make sure I'm overweight a little bit, and I'm going to have some flexibility and some swaps. This is a weird one with Chet because I don't love the price, but obviously there's tremendous upside. He put up a huge game last time against Jokic. Again, just getting little bits of everybody down here, not going crazy, but I do like the idea. I would like it if I could find more to stack in these later games. And we already are going to have a ton of exposure because of this spot here. We want at least 10% of Porter too, and we want at least 6% of Strother, just because I want to try to get that late game exposure so I can take full advantage of the late game swaps for process. Okay, we're doing that. So let's rebuild, and then let's use the simulator and see where that's going to leave us. If it's anything that we're getting that we like. And I'm happy to answer any individual questions about any games, players, 1v1s, 2v2s, etc. But just drop them on in now, and we'll keep running the sim. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, happy to answer anything. The one thing I know is that I'm probably 90% on Westbrook. There's a chance I end up with like 85, but it's going to be close to 90. And I'm just curious where these are gonna take me now that I added a bunch of funky late game stuff, because I'm going to be pretty chalky. I mean, basketball, we eat more chalk than we do any other sport. I'm totally fine with it when it makes sense to me. Tonight, you see the highest owned player, or there's just the late games, the highest owned players, and I'll take the over on all these, by the way. But I think we're still going to end up seeing the builds get to close to 100% of Westbrook, even with all those little news and notes that I added. Oh, okay, so it's not giving me exactly what I want. And then we got 91, and we're going to get we're going to run a contest sim. And remember, this is running a contest sim for the zone, the $5 150 max. And this is basically what I'm planning on doing. I'm just waiting for more starting lineups, and I'm going to make my little changes and tweaks when they come up. And sometimes we're going to have to make quick decisions. But as of right now, everything that I can't predict what's going to happen before the New Orleans game or the Dallas game. Dallas-Chicago game with Levine and whatnot. But as of right now, did they take Levine? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's still on the thing. And then, everybody else is probable. Okay. Just making sure, because sometimes I've noticed that there's been a couple that have slipped past me lately, and I didn't want to do that. I do like Wemby on FanDuel. Good question, K9. Look, what are we going to say when the guy starts blocking? Like, he could put up a game good enough almost with his stocks. He had 12 in the last game. That's 36 fantasy points already. And look, he's just going to have more. He's had 10 or more in 2 of his last 3. I really like him here, so I'm going to be overweight him in general. And certainly tonight, I think he's sort of finding himself after a little bit of a slow start. So yes, I like Wemby on both sides. Easier to get to on FanDuel. And we run the sim? We did. Okay, so let's see. So we're at 89% Westbrook, 75% Najee. I'm a little surprised we didn't get some of the other cheapos down there, because I thought there were some good plays, but it is what it is. You can see Edie's ownership is coming up a little bit. There's a lot of and we were talking about it with the value, and that's the other way I like to look at it is late games, because, when you have some serious news that could come in well after lock. And then also, what about the other value plays that people maybe aren't getting to? Could we get to a little bit of TJ McConnell? Yeah, that's fine. You can see him above the field right now at 10%. Batatse, as was mentioned earlier, again, not my favorite one, but getting 8%, I'm not going to hate on that. I think it's a good enough play. I just personally am on the Edie side. As you can see, I've got him more. Wait, why is it showing like this? Oh, because Edie's less value. Gafford, I guess I was still a little underweight. And yeah, they've got Edie. I just think the projections are too low on him. Maybe I would even, if there wasn't so many good centers, I think I would go higher on Edie and just take a bigger stab. Just there's a lot of big spots and cheap guys and expensive guys that I want to play. So it's just hard to get there. Reeves is the one I love. Is the liquor I do like. So I want to make sure I get that no matter what else I run. Miles Turner, that's interesting. He's getting a little cheap enough, but I don't really want to go crazy with it. Just taking a look at some of the other value. As I mentioned, Aaron Wiggins, I don't mind just getting a few percentage. They got me at 8%. That's fine. I can always late swap. I'm going to have a lot of action in those later games anyway, as you can see, mostly with the Denver side of things, but also with Chicago. So I'm going to have lots of late swapping tonight, and that's what the slate is going to be about largely for me. And any other questions or thoughts? I'm going to probably get out of here. If there's no more questions or thoughts, you guys want to do anything else? We ran the Sims. We talked about it. Unfortunately, we're not going to do hockey because there's no sheets. I don't do hockey. So And that's the thing you're asking me about Boston, Brendan. Exactly. There's a lot of good plays later. I would lean towards the later games. In fact, I might play around even a little bit more with this for a second. Yeah, because like you can see, Boston is, again, it's just, I don't know about great play. I don't think Boston's any kind of guarantee, but there's plays available if Hawkins is out and Zion. I mean, there's going to be plays available later, and I'll certainly get to some of that. But I was mentioning there's a few games that I like, and I just wanted to go to those real quick and just make sure I get a little bit of game stacking in my builds. Indiana is always worth a stab or two. Golden State, Boston, didn't quite get there. I don't like anybody on the Atlanta run back for the Knicks. That's the problem there. Get San Antonio, Houston, not as crazy about Houston. It's always hard to figure out which ones. But I do like this Chicago, Dallas, and let's just put 10% of that. The problem is it's hard for me to stack. So basically, I'm not really game stacking as much. It's more going to be team stacks that I would focus on, and that's going to be Denver. You're going to want at least like 25%. Dallas, I feel like that's too high at 47. I'd like to see that a little lower. I like Dallas just fine, but I don't think that, we should all go lose our minds because Derek Lively's out. I like the Knicks. As I mentioned, I think getting to 2 Knicks is really a good idea, and want to make sure I'm ahead on that at 25%. Let's put 20%. I'm going 15 just in case. No, you know what? F it. Let's go 20. Orlando, we like, again, I like the Wagner, but I'm not that crazy about everything else. Chicago is the one, again, it's a part of the Dallas game I've already got because I don't want to go crazy with them. I want to go crazy with San Antonio. I don't want to go crazy with the Lakers. Don't want to go crazy with Indy. New Orleans is interesting just because it's a later game and there's going to be some swapping ability. Probably don't want more than 2 just to not mess with everything too much. Don't want Houston. Don't want Atlanta. And it's really mostly going to be in the big Denver. I'm just going to apply and see what that does. It's going to yell at me again. But you can see I did get a little bit more of the Nick exposure, and 2 stacks would be my preferred way. But let's see if stack exposure types 2-2. Yeah, this is probably what I want. I'm good with this as far as stacks go. 3-0. I would like to. Yeah, only 8%. I'm okay with 8%. 2-2-2-2. Those are always fun. Let's just see what happens just to play with it a little bit if I try to do that. That's weird. I don't even know how that works, actually. I don't know if I really want to do that. So let's go back to with those weird little tweaks and just see where we're getting. And what I'm saying, sort of what I'm highlighting here is like just ways you can get different. Using SaberSim, you could plug in and automatically run contest sims and whatever. Between using my own personal, the guys I want, especially my core plays, as I mentioned, that I always have usually at least 25% of each of them. I really do want to try and just get things a little bit different while keeping sort of using the value of SaberSim and trying to impart my own knowledge on top of that, as well as getting exposed to a few different situations that I think are being underprojected. That's pretty much what NBA is. Thinking of fading a 7 p.m. game. That's fine. I don't mind that. Both 7 p.m. games. There's guys I have there. Let's see where I'm at with these guys. Actually, we'll see in a minute once they build the lineups. But I like Wagner, as I mentioned. Again, I don't mind getting to a little bit of the Halliburton and a little bit of the Mathurin. Mathurin's actually dropped ownership. I think there's a play for Mathurin here, actually, that this is maybe a little bit better of a play. So I'm just going to make sure I don't end up with none of it. I know I'm going to have to rerun these 500 more times. That's where I'm at. Excuse me. All right, wait, I'm getting the news notes. What is LaMelo Ball's in? We knew that. Yeah, okay, nothing new. Dylan Brooks is in. Okay, so yeah, we have the alert update is that there are all game time decisions, Zion, Hawkins, and Alvarado. I really think we want to be late stacking here, and maybe that is a good case for being underweight the early games, as was mentioned by Brendan earlier. It's not a bad idea. I like these spots, but there's plenty of other stuff you can get to later. I think it's totally reasonable to just fade it if you wanted to go that route, even though I'm not going quite that far. Let's see, what else is there? FanDuel. FanDuel's a little bit different. I did want to get, I still want either the Jokic. I like Westbrook over there too, and he's a little bit lower owned. I guess I'll jump over there real quick in the meantime. But the the Jokic, I believe, is going to be lower owned, and I think this is a really good spot to just take a shot and play Jokic and Luka, and it's really easy to do. You could do it with Wemby if you wanted to. That's how easy it is to do. So I would definitely be checking that out if I was you guys. I think I think Jokic at low ownership tonight is like that could so easily be the highest scoring player on the slate. And there's so many other plays at center, but there's so many other value spots. You don't need to worry that much about it on FanDuel, in my opinion. All right, let's just take a quick look. But yeah, that's tempting with the Gafford. And I mean, all these cheap centers, I feel like I love the Edie play also. So I'm sort of stuck because I'm playing one big lineup on FanDuel, and I really would like to do I'd like to get to Jokic. Yeah, I'd like to get to Jokic, Wembanyama, and Luka. It just feels good. And I mean, again, you could argue almost as strongly for Tatum, given the narrative that he didn't play in the Olympics. What if this is the night he goes out and scores 50? Feels very doable with no Jaylen Brown too, doesn't it? It just feels like we should. LeBron shot if 80. I don't think that 80's out, but we'll see. I mean, I can't. Yeah, you're playing LeBron if 80's out, I think for sure, but not like I'm not like locking him in, but I think he would become close to one of those type of plays. Maybe not a lock because of his age and everything, and he's not quite the same guy all the time. But everybody else in the Lakers, you'd be trying to play if for some reason Jokic is out. I'm sorry, Davis is out, but I don't think that's going to happen. All right, where's my exposure? Wait, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah, Westbrook down to 83%. Watson at 64. Kata, I'm still getting 35%, even with all those other centers. Maybe I want to lower my min on him actually too. I don't mind having a little less than the field, just because I think there's other ways to build. And like I mentioned, I do want to get that Jokic in there well over the field. Cat, I like being over the field on that as well. Anyway, that's sort of where I'm at for right now, guys. I'm going to keep running things. I'll be in the Discord if there's any questions. Oh, how do you make the rule at SS to only have one center util? So that's the thing is I actually didn't even bother because I was going to try and set it, but I don't want to do that tonight myself, actually. Let me just double check. I haven't, let's see. Yeah, it's just like this. You click the guys you want, and then you say just all centers in the utility. Where is the thing? I don't remember exactly off the top of my head right now. I'm under the weather and on a whole bunch of cold medicine. So I have to relook at it. I did it on the old one. I haven't tried it with the new one exactly yet. So I'm sorry about that, MJ. I will have that answered for you next time. But I don't know how to do that. But I think that if you just try to look at the centers that are available, and I don't think you necessarily have to play only centers in there, but I do think it's the majority for me, just between all of these value plays and the good spend ups and the good mid tier. It's a really strong position tonight. It's loaded, and even guys like Jalen Duren, who I love, I'm not getting to. I probably should get at least 5% of them. This is why I'm going to spread out a little bit at center. And Vucevic is in the later games, so we'll get just like 3% or just do something. I remember I do like the Wemby thing. Anyway, I'm probably going to get out of here, guys. Good luck to everyone tonight. I hope you guys crush it. Please give us a like on